All right, good afternoon, everyone. We have a good portion of our registrants online now. Thank you for joining us. My name is Rachel Cooper. I work with Texas Society of Architects, supporting our architect licensing advisors, Michael and Irma, who are going to be presenting to you today. And we just want to help support everyone on their path to licensure, no matter whether you are a member or where you are on that journey right now. And they're going to help give you some updates and answer questions at the end. So if you think of questions as you have them, you can put them in the chat and I'll help monitor that. Otherwise, there will also be a Q&A section at the end if we don't get to it during the presentation. But thank you all for joining us today. And with that, I will kick it over to Irma and Michael.
Alrighty, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you guys for coming out to the TXA updates to NCARB for 2024. My name is Michael Peterson, and with me is Irma Cefontes. We are the architect licensing advisors for the whole state of Texas. So, to kick it off, if you have any questions at any point, whatever time, this is a good time to take a screenshot of this information. This is great to have if you have a question during the presentation, after the presentation, but these are the main points of contact for you to get help with any NCARB or ARE related questions that you have. So the standard NCARB presentation template that all licensing advisors have access to has standard 42 slides. Since August of 2023, you can see we've had a lot of updates to everything that is NCARB. So Irma and I are going to go through it quickly and hit on the real topics that are updated. So to kick it off, the basics of NCARB and how licensure is facilitated through the United States. There are 55 jurisdictions that are NCARB members, 50 states, DC, Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, Guam, and North Mariana Islands. These jurisdictions are licensed to practice architecture, and you need to meet the requirements of the jurisdiction in which you want to get licensed.
Michael, I'm going to pause you. Oh, there we go. The slide's updated on my end. I don't know if that was just me. Okay, great. Keep going.
So there is no United States license to architecture. There are 55 different licenses in the United States for architecture, each one by the state that licenses it. So in order to pursue that path, there are three components of NCARB licensure: education, experience, and examination, all of which will get you to licensure. And at the end of the presentation, it also gets you towards the path of the NCARB certificate. So the first case is education. In most cases, to become licensed, you need to earn an education degree from an accredited program by the NAB, which is the National Architecture Accreditation Board. So keep in mind that the program is accredited by NAB, not the school. So the best example I can give is that my undergrad was not accredited, but my graduate school was accredited. So each jurisdiction architecturally also sets their own standards before graduating. So keep that in mind. You don't have to have gone to a NAB certified program to become a licensed architect. However, it helps tremendously. Second area that we will be talking about today is the experience. And there's only been one real update on that. And then the final area that we'll be talking about is the examination. That is where there have been plenty of recent updates that are significant enough to warrant a discussion on them. So first off is earning your license. What does it take to get your license? Because every single state is different, every single jurisdiction is different, the best place to look is on ncarb.org/registration boards. Irma and I will be talking specifically about Texas, but then again, there's 54 other components that have different requirements. So the best place to keep up to date on requirements is NCARB and your specific, in this case, for us, the Texas Board of Architectural Examiners, the specific websites or resources that these jurisdictions put out. So most of the 55 US licensing boards require that applicants hold a degree from a program accredited by NAB. NAB ensures and evaluates architecture programs in the United States to ensure that graduates are prepared with adequate technical and critical thinking skills. If you don't hold a degree from a NAB's accredited program, you can still earn your license in a state that doesn't require this degree, or you can do as what I did and went to a NAB accredited program for grad school. If you don't know if your program is NAB accredited or not, head on over to the NAB.org website to check to see if you are in a program or if you are looking to be in a program that is NAB certified. The biggest update with education came over the winter, where NCARB started discussions with CCCAP, the Coalition of Community College of Architecture Programs, in order to start the dialogue about possibly getting licensed or having accreditation through community colleges in America. Because there is nothing set in stone, there is nothing on the horizon, but the conversation has been started. So this is a big update in the note that future generations of architects will be able to, if things go certain ways, will be able to obtain their license through community colleges. But NCARB has taken a very diplomatic and political stance that this is not set in stone yet. Follow NAB. NAB is the best way to make sure that your program is accredited and you will have the skills that you need for architecture licensure. So to the AXP program, I will hand it off to Irma.
Hello, everyone. Well, I'm going to start talking about the Architectural Experience Program. And this AXP provides a big framework to guide you through gaining and recording all your professional experience. We wanted to get the real world experience to safely and confidently handle the scenarios that faces an architect every day with a broad experience in these areas, all the phases of the practice. The AXP prepares you for everything from the site design to project management. To complete the AXP, you'll need to demonstrate that you are able competently to perform the task identified across the 6 experience areas. For example, the task associated with the programming and analysis area includes to determine impact of applicable zoning and development ordinances to determine project constraints. So you can use these guidelines to help you to focus with what areas or activities to work within your day-to-day work so you can actually gain that experience. There are 2 settings to complete the AXP. You'll need to demonstrate that through the experience setting A or through the experience setting O. So the there are, for the experience setting A, there are a minimum 1,860 hours in this area, and you may need to able to complete under a direct supervision for a licensed architect in the US or Canada, or work in an organization engaged in the lawful practice of architecture as defined by the individual jurisdictions, and your employment must be paid. So remember that unpaid internships are not eligible, but those are the minimum requirements you need to gain experience for this amount of hours in the setting A. Then you have the other setting, which is O. So you have different caps here, but basically you have other works experience under licensed professionals, so supporting architect, landscape architect, engineer, architect not practicing architecture, and those will be 1,860 hours cap. Then you have design or construction related employment, which 320 hours. Then community-based design center and collaborative, another 320. CSI certifications, 40 hours. Design competitions up until 320 hours. NCARB professional conduct monograph, you can work with them and you can get up until 10 hours. Site visit with mentor will be up until 40, construction work, 320 hours, and AIA continuing education will be 20 hours of experience area. So as you can see, you have another opportunities to also accumulate those experience hours in your NCARB record. The AXP tasks are associated in 6 experience areas. This is the summary of the number of tasks and the minimum amount of experience hours per each of those areas. To complete the AXP, you'll need to document in total 3,740 hours across the 6 experience areas. So you have practice management, project management, programming and analysis, project planning and design, project development and documentation, which is the thickest of the 12 hours, and then construction and evaluation. Some are more simple, and other ones require a little bit of more skills to complete them.
So across all the 55 jurisdictions are the minimum requirements for the 3,740 hours of AXP total to display competency. However, there are some nuanced jurisdictions like Arizona, Pennsylvania, even Virginia used to have it, where there's a duration requirement where you need to have worked for a certain number of years. So in theory, if you worked 40-hour or 80-hour weeks and got done with all your hours in a year and a half, some of these states won't accept that because they need your total duration of employment before they will say that you are ready to sit for the exams. So FYI, if you are not going to take the test in Texas. So when it comes to recording your hours, best practice is record every 6 months. 6 month blocks are easy. They can keep you on track. Do it twice a year. NCARB recently changed it to the credit that you receive at 100% is up to 8 months after recording. So if it's March right now, so if you have hours from mid-July, you can submit all those for 100% credit, but anything earlier than mid-July is going to fall in this purple area under 50% credit. So It's better for you to submit your hours earlier or on time so you get full credit, because if you are dedicated on the path to licensure, sometimes having that little bit of time that you forgot is just a little bit of stress that you don't want to have. So a little bit of an update on supervisors and mentors is that there is now a little bit more clearly defined supervisors and mentor resources. NCARB has spent some time to actually share and create some resources for AXP supervisors and mentors so that there's actually a benefit from them. You can get CEUs, or your supervisor can get a CEU credit for doing these little preparation resources that NCARB has provided, because it used to be just a thankless task. However, there is a new rule, which is specifically that in order for somebody to keep the NCARB letters behind their name, they have to follow the NCARB model rules of conduct, which brand new introduced rule is rule number 6, the further obligation to profession and public, which is an architect serving as an AXP supervisor for a candidate for licensure shall reasonably assist the candidate in properly and timely documentation in accordance with that program. So for most people, that works out great, but this rule helps put a little fire under some people's chairs who may not be the most responsible or quickest to respond to our submission requests. So that is a nice new update that brings the supervisor into the fold to help candidates with the process. So reporting experience, the way you report your hours is through the NCARB website. They have an app that you can do it as well. It has different graphics to show you how much you have remaining, and you just access it from the NCARB website and follow the tabs on the website to go to the appropriate area to submit your hours. So there is another option where if you are a designer who put licensure on hold due to career, personal, economic reasons, you don't have and are technically unable to document the AXP process that you've had experience. Maybe you work for a small solo practitioner who passed away before signing off on all your hours. This is a situation where it's very rare, but NCARB has prepared for it, where for those 96 tasks that are on the practice management, project management, program tasks, all the tasks from the experience areas, you create a portfolio that documents that you know how to do all 96 of those tasks. So that is an alternative option if you are experienced but can't track down that AXP hours backlog. All right, and so hand it back off to Emma.
Okay, well, but one of the best ways to stay on track, earning your license and starting your NCARB record. Once you start, you have all access to start to download those hours and begin earning that experience that qualifies you to then take your exam. It will keep that NCARB record will keep your history, your education, and also when you're ready. So with your exams too, so you will have your ready all the documentation for your registration in your jurisdiction. So as soon as possible, just start the NCARB record. To start is $100, and then every year that you continue with your exams or with your working experience will be an extra additional fee of $85. So, well, let's talk about about the architect registration examination, we have been saying that there are 3 things to pursue this path, which is education, then the AXP hours, and now the exams. The ARE is a multi-division exam used to assess your knowledge and skills regarding the practice of architecture. The ARE is designed to assess all the aspects of architectural practice that affect public health, safety, and welfare, as well as an architect's responsibility within firms, such as managing projects and coordinating the work of other professionals. So the AXP experience hours are aligned with the ARE 5.0 divisions. So this is to simplify the path of licensure and to help you to connect with the real world experience and the exam preparation. So keep in mind always that each jurisdiction set its own rules regarding when you're eligible to start to take the ARE. So learn what you need to do to take your exams in your specific jurisdiction, visit the website, and get ready for the test. So basically in Texas, you have to take 6 exams, which are the practice management, project management, programming and analysis, project planning and design, project development and documentation, and construction and evaluation. So each jurisdiction also sets their own rules, but most of the candidates can start testing after completing the education and the AXP hours. So candidates can take those exams on the PSI test centers or online. And each exam costs $235, including the retest. If you fail a division, you're going to have about 60 days to schedule that exam and retake that exam. And so per year, you can take it up until 3 times. And then if not, you may need to wait for the running calendar year to start again to take that specifically division. Then there are other policies for candidates that are non-native English speakers. NCARB has now added 20% of the original testing time for each division as an extension for those that do not speak, that English is not their first language. So you can also use a word-to-word translation dictionary, but this is only if you're taking the test in the test center. This dictionary needs to be without any marks, any notes, and it's not available for people that are taking the exam online. And this is not valid in the for New York. So those are the things that you need to always be checking with your jurisdiction, what is allowed and what is not.
And you have to make sure that you ask before you take the test or before you sign up. So make sure that you visit the NCARB website and email them to ask for these, either the word-to-word translation or the additional testing time. In the past year, there have been a couple big updates, reason why we're here. First thing, as everybody's aware, the NCARB rolling clock policy has ended. Texas changed the laws of their examination board processes to allow to remove the rolling clock because it was in Texas's legislation that the rolling clock existed. So as of September 2023, there's no more rolling clock in Texas. I think the last time I looked, there were either 3 or 4 states left that that we're in the process of removing the rolling clock policies from their legislation. And with the rolling clock ending, your score validity is renewed. So if your scores were for ARE 5.0 expired because of the rolling clock, they are now valid. They are going to remain valid until ARE 7.0 for ARE 5.0. But for ARE 4.0, once ARE 5.0 transitions to ARE 6.0, those scores are no longer valid. So the rolling clock is gone, and now the policy is exam +1. So whichever exam that you took, ARE 4.0 or ARE 5.0, if you took it ARE 4.0, your scores are valid throughout ARE 5.0. Same thing for ARE 5.0. Your scores are valid for all of ARE 5.0 and ARE 6.0. So the earliest that anything like those might change will be at least another 5 years in the future. But we're going to keep an ear out to NCARB on that. Second of the major updates happened last month, which is the first is the retiring of quantitative fill-in-the-blank questions, QFIBs. The exam will no longer have questions where you need to type in an answer for fill-in-the-blank. There will still be math questions. It's not an elimination of math questions. It's just NCARB has actually worked with psychologists and educators and found that the QFIBs, the fill-in-the-blanks, aren't as effective in gauging one's competency as the other types of formatting of the questions that they have on the exam. So if you're taking a test any point now, they will not have questions that you need to type your answer in.
Yes, the other update that has been done is all code-related items to the ARE now reference the 2021 International Code Council family of codes and related standards, rather than the 2018 family that was used until past February. So when necessary in the exams, NCARB will provide excerpts from the 2021 ICC family of codes as reference on case studies. So during the exam, candidates will have an optional break time for all divisions. This is, you will decide if you want to take the break or not. Items, when you take the break, all the items that you already reviewed are going to be locked. And this is because locking items after breaks is essential for exam security, because NCARB will not have control over the break activities you're going to be doing. Locking the items maintain the exam reliability. So make sure once you're done with part of your questions, you're sure that those are your final answers before taking the break. Then candidates should plan all those flag items that you typically do in your exam, just review it before the break, because then all those flags, you're going to lose them when you come back. Just make sure that you can do your test without taking break, but if it's necessary, just make sure that you don't need to go back to the questions you already reviewed. Then in terms of the ARE exam guidelines, those include everything you need to know about the exam policies, procedures, content, whether you're testing online or in person. So there are different rules for in terms of what you pick. So this is one-stop shop for everything you need to know about taking the ARE. So within the guidelines, NCARB has provided candidates a matrix of reference books, which is great to review. And so many resources listed in this matrix have some overlapping content. So we will advise candidates that they don't need to read every book on the list, but these books are a really good source for starting and to prepare for the ARE exams. Then to ensure that all candidates have access to affordable, high-quality study materials, NCARB have created a full-length, full-score practice exam for each division of the ARE. These practice exams were written and developed by the same people that developed the real exams. So you can take these exams as a test mode. So you are measuring the time, and everything equal as you're taking in person. Or you have the practice mode when your time is not measured and you just have the correct answer and the rationale behind each item, and you can go question by question and study more in detail those. But this is one of the best sources that have been added to study, because this is the most similar you're going to find to the test, the real test. And so once you're registering your NCARB website and you're eligible to take the exams, so you can see those and practice with those exams in your dashboard. You also have a demonstration exam. It's a demo available for all the candidates that have the NCARB record, and it's on a score. This is different than the other 6 divisions exams, and have 75 questions that illustrate the style of questions you're going to have, the navigation, the structure, with the software of the exam. And you also will have some answers and rationale about those items. You also have those answers in your handbook. So NCARB provides a range of other resources to help you to guide and prepare to enter to the those exams, and that's the ARE 5.0 community, the test prep videos, the ARE demonstration exams. And so just visit the NCARB website to check the study materials or ask experts online. Then in the exam are covered contracts, the AIA contracts that are now available of the family for 2017. And you can reference to those in the matrix located in the ARE guidelines. Then the codes covering the exam are the 2021, as we mentioned before. And NCARB update these codes every 3 years. So typically, ARE is one version behind the latest code released by the ICC. When you do make a change, candidates will be informed in advance of the code contracts update so they can prepare accordingly, but always before your exam review and stay updated with the changes that are coming.
If you ever have a question about which building codes or things you need to review, check the ARE 5.0 guideline book. They will have the resources for the handbook. They will have that matrix and the contract documents. These only change every 10 years. So we have a solid 3.5 years, maybe 4 years before this section updates.
So you can schedule your ARE division in person or online environment. To schedule an exam, you will need to go into the NCARB record, navigate the exams tab, and select and pay and schedule. And then after scheduling, we'll have two options that will be in person, or the second option, that is the online proctoring. Online proctor exams will be administered through PSI online proctoring software. So you can still test in person at a prometric test center, and the exam will be identical regardless of the delivery method. So there's no difference in the exam you're taking online at home or the one that you're taking on the test center. So online proctoring enables candidates to take the ARE in a private location of their choice that meets the necessary requirements for delivery during a scheduled appointment time. To ensure ARE security and validity, exam appointments will be closely monitored by a live remote proctor who will ensure compliance with testing conditions. To take the ARE online, candidates will need a private testing area, a computer that has been loaded with the Prometric Secure Testing Browser application, plus a live audio and video feed and high-speed internet connection. The ARE guidelines include information on how to set up that online proctor environment and meet the technical requirements.
Yeah, so if you're privileged enough to live close to a Prometric test center, fantastic. If you are privileged enough to have a very clean and empty office space that doesn't have anything on the walls, anything distracting, multiple cameras in order for the proctor to monitor you, and you have the ability to connect to a high-speed Ethernet cable, you are absolutely welcome to take it online at home. So depending on your level of privilege, one of the two options is the better way for you, but it's open to all. Yeah,
so each division of the ARE is 235, and this includes the retake. Starting in August last year, the retake is free if the candidate notified at least 4 business days before the exam date for the first time. So then 50 if candidate is on their second reschedule, 100 for every subsequent reschedule afterwards. So yeah, just try to go and take your test. That's the best way to just to test your knowledge and try to do not reschedule. So no rescheduling inside for business days will from the exam date. So NCARB provides several resources to help to prepare to the ARE, and all can be accessed from NCARB website. The guidelines contains all the information you need to know about testing, including policies, how to schedule an exam, what to do if you have a problem at the test center, and other information about the exam. Also, you have the 5.0 handbook that contains information to help you to study, including content, sample questions, list of resources, videos, the ARE 5.0 community. So, but always be sure to use the most current editions available on the website, because from one exam you take to the other one could be a change, so you are aware of it. So then, and be aware that currently you have the 2017 family of AIA contract documents, then the 2021 International Building Code family, and the ARE 5.0 codebook. So then after taking the exams, you're gonna get your scores. Passing score reports are very simple. It just includes the score, the expiration date, and the examination history. There's not gonna be feedback provided to the exams that pass the exam, just a passing notification. But if you fail the test, so your failing score report is going to be more in detail. So the ARE divisions taken with PSI will include a scale score on the first page, which provide a consistent metric of interpreting the scores across the administration. The scale scores will not be provided for passing the exam. And then on the second page of the fail score report, you can see the performance feedback. And this includes a percentage-based, it is compared for other candidates. So the exam is divided in several divisions, and you are going to see your score per division. And you have to, in order to pass, you have to, in all the divisions, get closer or above the passing candidates' correct average score. But it's not, the feedback that you're going to receive is not going to be itemized. It's just a general one, but NCARB is not going to provide a detailed information about what was wrong and what was correct. And so this is what you're going to receive.
So it's a very good tool to figure out where you need to study a little bit more. And on that note, brings us to the NCARB certificate. So we have been talking about the architectural license in one of the 55 jurisdictions of America, specifically tailoring towards Texas. Now, the NCARB certificate is, I guess, a process that comes from you getting your license in one jurisdiction, and it gives you the ability to make it easier for you to obtain a license in another jurisdiction. An NCARB certificate means if you have our license in one state, another state won't make you take all their exams. Again, there are exceptions with California and New York, but if you get licensed in Texas, you can then apply for your NCARB certificate and then request to get your license reciprocated in Florida, Oklahoma, Colorado. So NCARB certificate is a tool to pursue that after you have gotten licensure. NCARB certificates help streamline the process and reduce all the effort and time it takes to receive a reciprocal license in most jurisdictions. It also, professional development-wise, gives you more mobility and flexibility to let you choose where you want to work in the legal practice, lawful practice of architecture across the United States. So a typical NCARB certificate requirements are education, experience, examination, and licensure. That is your typical path for you to obtain an NCARB certificate, which will then allow you to get a reciprocated license in another state. And just make sure to keep your record active through AXP and the ARE. Don't forget to pay that yearly renewal. And if you do, the certificate application fee is waived, and you will receive your first year of certification free, plus half off the renewal for your second year. So yeah, as long as you keep your records active, you get a nice little discount in your initial certificate. A recent update has been NCARB is no longer using the word alternative. Instead, it's additional. Alternative implies that it's not as good as the norm or the status quo, which is not correct. NCARB believes in allowing multiple people, multiple paths towards licensure. And so in this case, one of the additional pathways is getting 2 times the experience on the AXP report. So instead of 3,700.5 hours, you need 7,500 hours. So that is an alternative option for you to pursue if you do not have a NAB certified degree, but a bachelor's degree in architecture with experience and 2 times the AXP, there are some states, as long as you check with their board, that will allow you to pursue licensure in this path. Another additional pathway is through the education pathway. So this is particularly used often when people come from overseas or outside of the United States who have received an architectural education and don't want to go to school in America again, because they've already gone to school wherever they received their initial education from. So the process with that would be to pursue the ESA, which is the Education Evaluation Services for Architects, which will review your transcript, review the education that you've had to make sure that the credits or hours, the effort that you put in your undergrad is equal in the competency as expected by NAB, or NCARB. So if you are not deficient, they say your record's great, you have all the things you need, fantastic, move on. If there are deficiencies, they will let you know so you can fill those out, take those classes where needed to fill in the competency that you need. And then the additional alternative path with that is by having an NCARB certificate portfolio, which is if you have an architecture degree, but with only 64 credit hours or less, you'll have to complete the entire certificate portfolio. Moving on is foreign education. This is if you are deficient in your undergrad or architectural program, this is where the US coursework as required to fill in those deficiencies. So if you're 1 or 2 credits short, you only have to take 1 or 2 credits. But if you're 20 credits short, you're going to need to take the 20. And then it continues the standard way otherwise, get your experience, your examination, your licensure, and then you can get your certificate that way. So the foreign architect credential is the interesting one of the bunch, where if you are a licensed architect from another country in good standing, this is the path for you, where you get a transcript from your school, prove that it's, I guess, a full-on education, show that your credential verification from a foreign body, which is a letter saying that you're in good standing. You get this before you start the process and when you finish your process for the examination, if this applies to you. This is a little bit complicated because, for example, the governing body, regulatory body of architecture in Mexico does not necessarily let people mail their letter. You have to pick it up in person, which does provide a little bit of difficulty for people planning, I guess, their lives, where they'd have to go back to the country to actually pick up the letter from the governing body to submit it to NCARB twice, once when you start the program and once when you end it. So the nuance with this particular path is that you would get after you verify that you have your license from another country, you will get a certificate and as well, as in addition to the licensure in the state that you tested in. Recently, there have been updates for mutual reciprocity agreements. Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Mexico, and the United Kingdom. If you are a licensed architect in those countries, you are granted an NCARB certificate to then select or where in the United States you'd like to pursue your license. NCARB is currently exploring other countries and regions and opportunities through International Union of Architects and the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation. So they are looking into it. However, I will note that this is for licensed reciprocity. If you pass the tests in Canada or pass the tests in England or the United Kingdom, that is fantastic. That's great for you. But NCARB doesn't recognize their tests. They'll recognize your license, however. So you'll still have to test in America, even if you passed all the tests in Canada or Mexico or the United Kingdom. And so that wraps it up. Irma and I are part of the Architect Licensing Advisors community, where we are very dedicated volunteers, individuals who do our best to help others get licensed. And there are over 1,000 of us across the United States that are part of NCARB. And it's a growing community where if you ask me a question or Irma a question we don't know, we can actually ask our peers that might have experienced that nuanced question before, which also helps us skip the 45-day customer service wait time that typically NCARB recommends you wait. If you're interested, join the conversation. NCARB has lots of resources. These are to keep you up to date. If anything new, like these quarterly updates that they have, they'll be posted on these various websites well ahead of the change. And so thank you all for staying around. My name's Michael. I'm here with Irma. Again, screenshot this if you ever need to reach out to us. Our information is also on the NCARB website for Find Your Advisor. So if for some reason you can't screenshot, you'll be able to find us later. And I believe we have time to open it up for questions. Rachel, are there any questions?
Yeah, I don't know if y'all can see the Q&A pop up at the bottom. Tell me if no.
Ooh, okay. Yes, I can. So how do I become a part of this community?
Great.
It depends. There's 5 different flavors of this community. You can be a licensing advisor that's nominated or selected by your component. So Rachel, who is TXA, picked me and picked Irma. So you need to have the executive director or somebody of your governing board nominate you and send an email to advisors@NCARB. If you want to email me, I will send you the little how-to, which explains all the 5 ways very cleanly. So it can be at the state level, then you have the local chapters. Local chapter can nominate you. Like I live in Austin, but I helped nominate the AIA Austin licensing advisor. So the chapter director has to send that email. You can be a firm advisor. You just have to have somebody in your firm email with you and say, this person will be our firm advisor. There's the student advisor. You just have to be a student. And that is part of AIAS or NOMA. And the final one is just an enthusiastic individual. You can sign up and be part of the community, and you don't have to be part of a firm, don't have to be part of an AIA group. You can just be an individual that's enthusiastic about helping. So email the txa.ctx.ala@gmail.com, and I will forward you, anonymous participant, I guess the how-to. It's real easy. All right. Let's see. get back to the anonymous. Orlando, do we know when 6.0 exam will be released? No, which is good, but it won't be within the next 3.5 years. That is, we will have plenty of forewarning. But right now, it's not a thing other than a faraway place. Let's see. If we pass our exams and complete the AXP hours required by another state jurisdiction, how long before we can transfer our license to Texas with reciprocity? You don't have to wait at all. If you passed your AXP and passed your exams, you can say, can I please, you just send an email to NCARB and say, may I please change my jurisdiction to Texas or change my jurisdiction to this. They will transfer it. And if there are no issues, like you've passed your AXP, or passed your ARES and passed the AXP, fantastic. You can, I guess, get your initial license in Texas. But to expand on that, if you have your license in another state already and don't want to get it in that state, you can transfer. But if you have it in a state, you can just already now apply for an NCARB certificate and have a license in that state and Texas. Orlando, is there a recommended testing order? Not necessarily. You can do the easy test first or the hard test first. And that's just based on what you're good at. I had a coworker who took an exam 5 times before passing it. That I had another coworker who passed it on their first try. Sometimes some tests are harder for others. Are there study resources outside NCARB that you recommend? Yes, there are plenty, but to be politically accurate, I would recommend looking up the benefits of each resource. I think Irma can definitely has opinions on which ones are the best, in her opinion.
Yeah, there are plenty of resources, and I guess there is no one that is going to help you for all the exams. Per exam, there's going to be different softwares to use, or the bibliography from NCARB, I think, was my most helpful resource. Then you have the NCARB community. You're gonna read people recommending and really follow that community, because I think is there where you can have the most, let's say, recent or accurate resources to study, because also the exam questions change within time, and so it's good to be listening the community. I don't want to say the name of any of the, let's say, resources, because I feel like it'd be like a marketing thing, but what I can say is that the practice exams, you can use some of them, and then for the others like programming and analysis, PPD and PDD, you use different ones. So there are plenty, and each one of them has something good. So it's a way also to test them, because some of the resources are more graphics, and we as an architects, that really works for us, but other people prefer to read. So it also depends of what you like to, or what is your learning process. So
Excellent. Yep. So I'll just ruin it and say there's ballast books, amber books, black spectacles.
all of them.
There's tons of them. Whichever one works the best for you, use it.
Yeah, all of them work.
So Someone asked if I get my license in another state as Wisconsin, that doesn't
Require AXP hours.
I'm pretty sure that it requires AXP hours, but it does not require a NAB certified degree. Yes. And no, depending on the way that this question is worded with nuance, you can get your initial license in a state that does not require a NAB certified degree like Wisconsin or Arizona. And then after you get that license, you get your certificate, NCARB certificate, and then you apply for reciprocity in Texas. So you would still need to have your Wisconsin or Arizona license and NCARB certificate in order to get the Texas license. And then Brenda asks, through the foreign architect path, mentioning the letter with no sanctions, the good standing. So to explain that is basically when you start the process, you have to basically show that you're not in trouble, like your license hasn't been revoked in that country or that place, or you're not the serial killer, the architect serial killer of that place, and you're coming to America to escape that. You get your first letter of good standing when you start the process to show that you're not in trouble. And then when you complete the process, you have to get that same letter again to show that in the time since the first letter, you have not become the architect serial killer or have committed a felony or have lost your license in that country. So I hope that explains it, Brent. It's you get the letter when you start it to show that you're not in trouble, and you get another letter at the end to show that you haven't gotten in trouble in that time in between.
Well, great. I think that answers the questions we have in our Q&A. Michael, if you can go back to that last slide just so people can see those contact emails for y'all one more time before we end the webinar. If like Michael and Irma said, if y'all have any questions or would like to reach out in the meantime, take a screenshot of those 2 emails below. We really appreciate everyone attending today and wish you all the best of luck on your exams, on your paths to licensure. And thank you, Michael and Irma, for the wonderful presentation. And with that, I will stop the recording.